Hi, this is Grandma Lori. Today's story is Eden and the Talent Show. Eden lived in her head. She didn't like going outside to play. She didn't like playing video games. Instead, she liked playing piano. Every time she sat down at the keyboard, Eden was transported into a world where nothing else mattered, only the sound of the music and the feel of her hands on the keys. Mom called it being in the zone. Eden had been taking piano lessons forever. Mom first taught her how to play when she was 3. After a few years, though, Mom knew it was time to have someone else teach Eden. Because Eden spent so much time in her head, the other kids in her 3rd grade class didn't understand her. She was very shy and pretty much kept to herself, so the other kids thought she was just mad or felt too good to talk to them. But that wasn't the case. Eden was just very shy. "Class," said Mrs. Peoples, Eden's teacher, "I have an announcement. We're going to have a school-wide talent show. If you're interested in having a part, please see me after school." Eden was excited to hear the news. She knew exactly what she was going to do. But when school was over, there were so many kids surrounding Mrs. Peoples that Eden decided just to go home. When Eden got home that day, her piano teacher, Mrs. Keeley, was talking with Mom and waiting. "How was school, honey?" asked Mom. "It was normal, although the teacher announced there would be a talent show next week." Eden sounded excited. "Excellent," said Mrs. Keeley. "I know just the piece you can play." "But what if I'm not any good?" Eden asked. "What if the other kids make fun of me?" Mom gave Eden a hug. "It just means you'll have to practice harder." "And I'll help," Mrs. Keeley chimed in. "I'll come every day after school so we can practice. Sound good?" "Sounds great," said Eden. The next day, Eden went to school early so she could talk to Mrs. Peoples. "Mrs. Peoples, I'd like to sign up for the talent show," Eden said. "Excellent. What are you going to do?" "I'm going to play piano." Mrs. Peoples had never seen Eden so excited. At lunch that day, though, Eden started having second thoughts. Her worries about not being good enough or the other kids laughing at her were heavy on her mind. Mrs. Keeley was waiting for her when she got home from school. "Are you ready to practice?" asked Mrs. Keeley. "Not really. I'm worried I won't be good enough," Eden said. "I understand. It's normal to be nervous, especially when you're shy." Mrs. Keeley gave Eden a hug. "Let's just make sure you're the best you can be." The next few days were a blur. Mrs. Keeley was waiting for Eden every day. Eden was having the time of her life, playing every day. She could tell she was getting better and better. Finally, it was the day of the talent show. Mrs. Keeley and Mom were there to cheer on Eden. "Just look at the keys, sweetie," said Mrs. Keeley. "Once you start playing, you won't even know anyone else is in the room." She could hear the other kids whispering as she stepped on the stage. "What is she doing up there?" "I didn't know she could play piano." Eden sat down at the piano, looked at the keys, and started playing. The audience quieted almost immediately. Loud applause broke out when Eden finished. She had done it! "You were right, Mrs. Keeley. Once I started playing, I didn't hear anything but the piano. It was like I was floating on the notes," Eden said when she got off the stage. "Practice makes perfect." It makes all the difference in the world. If you're nervous about doing something, practice it more. That way, whether it turns out well or poorly, you'll know you've done your best, said Mrs. Keeley. "Now, let's go get some ice cream to celebrate," Mom said. This has been Grandma Lori. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the story. Make sure to like, share, follow, and subscribe so I can continue bringing you more stories. Thank you.